A former interpreter for the British Army in Afghanistan who has received death threats from the Taliban says he feels abandoned by the UK government. The man even helped interpret for David Cameron during his visit in 2011. And with a wife and 3 daughters, he now fears for his life, but he's not the only one. And RT contacted several departments of the British government and received this response from the Ministry of Defence.
The UK government believes that its policy towards locally engaged staff in Afghanistan is legal, honourable and fair. And we're committed to delivering generous support that properly reflects their work and the risks involved.
However, the reality is often quite different, with Afghan interpreters forced to flee their homes running from jihadists. This week, RT's Polly Boyker met a British Army veteran who is helping his former interpreter, who claims to have been abandoned by the UK government despite his service.
Kushal, or Happy as he's known to his former British colleagues, is getting ready to try to leave Calais by stowing himself away in a truck headed for the UK.
I faced a lot of big risk in my life, and I have to face this one as well.
Happy used to work as an interpreter for the British Army in Helmand. When he stopped, he started getting death threats. Then his brother was murdered. So he applied to come to the UK under the British government's visa scheme for Afghan interpreters. But the months went by and Happy never got a response. He says his life was in so much danger that he made the decision to leave Afghanistan and try to come to the UK illegally. Now he's at Britain's doorstep, and there's not much to pack.
What are we going to carry with us? What do I need to bring with me?
Tonight,
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
Nothing. Because if I carry this one, impossible jump on the net because heavy and net is too much high, 2 meter, 2.5 meter. There is concertina wire also. If that my back stuck in a concertina wire, maybe I will injure.
Happy has the support of his former boss, ex-army officer George Tildesley. Extraordinarily, George has come to Calais to meet his former interpreter and try to help him get to the UK. They're going to be documenting their dangerous attempt to cross the border using hidden cameras.
He was an excellent interpreter and he really helped us on our tour, to the extent that I feel that potentially there were times when we might have had blokes being killed, but he was able to give us good advice.
The British government's been accused of abandoning hundreds of its loyal interpreters.
The rule of UK is a little bit complicated, a little bit difficult, and that's taking time, taking 1.5 years or nearly 1 year. But I couldn't pass that time in Afghanistan, in Kabul. I couldn't wait.
Well, you used to be able to just walk up that hill and get onto the road, but now, as you can see, there's an enormous fence. It wasn't here a month ago, it's brand new, and there's police watching that the migrants don't climb onto these trucks that are coming under the bridge here. They're watching their every move here. So the closest place to get onto a truck, many of the migrants tell me, is 2 hours in that direction in the Channel Tunnel Terminal. And as the evening sets in, that's where this former Afghan interpreter and his former commander are headed to now.
You don't get a lot of opportunities in life to really, always do something decent to help somebody out, and this is an opportunity that I've had.
It's a dangerous and illegal endeavour. But Happy says he's got no choice.
I have to cross this channel because I don't have another option, and I have to go to UK.
Tune in to RT later on to find out if they get there. Reporting from Calais, I'm Polly Boyko.
And the ex-army officer has started a petition to get the immigration minister to reassess Happy's case. He's also hoping to raise some cash to help set up the Afghan translator in the UK. In fact, you can watch the entire second part of this journey, Happy's journey and search for a safe haven, throughout Sunday here on RT.
This is my last option. I have to wait. I have to cross this channel.
He completely conforms to all the criteria, but this system has been correctly described as being Kafkaesque.
When we jump on the top of the net, we're gonna wear this one for my cover on skin or my blood. We will try again, we will be continuing until we succeed.
Meet Kushal, nicknamed Happy by his former British colleagues when he worked as an interpreter for the UK military in Afghanistan. He's desperately seeking a new life in Britain after receiving death threats from the Taliban. Scores of Afghan interpreters have been hunted down and killed by the group, with their relatives often also targeted and threatened. Fearing for his life, Happy set off on a dangerous and illegal journey from Kabul. He crossed 2 continents and dozens of countries. His overfull boat almost sank in the Mediterranean Sea and he walked unhitched across Europe to Calais. The journey took him all of 9 months. Happy applied to come to the UK under the British government's so-called intimidation policy. Well, he's one of hundreds eligible for sanctuary in the UK, but only a handful have ever been successful. Our team met up with Happy earlier this week at the French port of Calais, from where he hopes to cross the Channel to the UK. What follows now is the second of our 2-part special report about his plight.
Former Afghan interpreter Kushal and his former British Army commander George are trying to cross from Calais to the UK. They're using hidden camera footage to record their journey. It starts with walking the 2 hours from the jungle camp to get to the Channel Tunnel terminal. That's where they're hoping to jump on a truck bound for Britain. The cat and mouse games with French police last through the night. By dawn, they give up and head back to the jungle.
Well, it's the day after the night before here in the jungle, and unfortunately for Happy, we got a message during the night from George saying that they hadn't had any luck trying to get into the Channel Tunnel terminal and onto a truck bound for the UK. So you can see the weather's reflecting the mood here, and we're going to go find out how they're doing.
We couldn't succeed, yeah, and we couldn't succeed, yeah. We try hard, but we will try again, we will be continuing. Not one time, all night, every night we're doing again. We have until we succeed.
Many of the migrants are still in their tents, sleeping off a night of failed attempts to cross the border. George is Happy's former army commander. He tried to cross to the UK with him in order to draw attention to his case.
It is arduous, absolutely, probably on our feet for about 8 or 9 hours, a long walk, a lot of running around, a lot of climbing around, and really disappointing at the end of it in the fact that they're still just back here rather than where they want to be. So, yeah, obviously not great outcome.
Back in Afghanistan, Happy was a combat interpreter. It was by no means a desk job. He worked with special forces and was often shot at. He's now stuck in Calais, and reality is setting in.
Where I am now, what should I do in the future? Where should I go? I'm so unhappy about this job because I did.
Happy tells me his mother blames his working with UK forces for his brother's murder at the hands of the Taliban.
I told him I was interpreter, but she told me like, you lose your big brother about your job. I could not talk anymore with you about you did a big mistake. And after that, he stopped the telephone, yes. After that, I couldn't contact with my mom.
Happy's friend and former boss is convinced the British government has a moral obligation to help him.
Because he meets all the criteria for their intimidation program, which is laid down in writing. He completely conforms to all the criteria, but this system has been correctly described as being Kafkaesque because the area that he comes from is too dangerous for them to carry out a risk assessment on his danger. He should have been the first person that was let in, and instead he's struggling here with people who probably don't have very much connection to our country at all, certainly not a connection in the same way that he does.
The British government has said that its policies towards Afghan interpreters are generous, fair and lawful. But for Happy, those policies just haven't acted fast enough. George has to leave for England now. Are you worried about leaving him here?
Yeah. No, it's yeah.
For now, for Happy, it's back to his borrowed tent in the jungle and back to square one. Instead of getting help from the British government, continuing dangerous attempts like these to get to the UK illegally. Polly Boyko, RT, Calais.
And just a note to add here, former Army officer George Tilsley has started a petition to get the Immigration Minister to reassess Happy's case. He's also hoping to raise some cash to help set up the Afghan translator in Britain.